Now, what began as a horse meat scandal in Britain is quickly spreading across Europe, and food safety authorities are warning it could go global. Claims that organised crime gangs are behind the contamination are threatening to erode consumer confidence in Europe's food industry. So let's take a look at the countries caught up so far in the investigation. Well, the investigations into suppliers were launched in the United Kingdom a few weeks ago when beef products sold at a British supermarket and a fast food chain were found to contain horse meat from an Irish supplier. Well, the Irish suppliers say they got the meat from Poland. And just this week, French frozen food company Findus said it was warned by its supplier there was horse meat in its product. In fact, some of its lasagna was 100% horse meat. It recalled products in Britain and in Sweden. French Consumer Affairs Minister Benoit Hamon said a Luxembourg factory had been supplied by a French company which bought frozen meat from Cyprus, which subcontracted the order to a Dutch trader, which got its meat from a Romanian abattoir. Well, the Food Standards Agency in the UK has given food retailers and suppliers a week to test their beef products and prove they are what they say.
I've got a horrible feeling we're looking at a major international criminal conspiracy. Yes, there is a very large volume of material moving around the world the whole time, and it appears that at some point a correct product has been substituted with something that is not correct.
Well, joining me now via Skype is Chris Elliott, and Chris is a professor in food safety at Queen's University in Belfast. Is it fair to say this isn't so much about food safety? Horse meat is safe to eat, but it's all about knowing what exactly is in the food we're eating.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've identified the crux of the issue here. It's not about safety, there's no implications for human health, but suddenly people starting off in Ireland and it spread to the UK, now right across Europe, actually understand for the first time what you're eating, particularly in processed foods. You don't know what's in it and you don't know where it comes from.
Because the chain, Chris, between the abattoir and the consumer is very long and often very complicated.
Yeah, it's an immense global network of distributors. So meat can travel around the world. It can come from South America to Europe. It can come from Asia to Europe, or from going from Europe back in other directions. Really, it has become one of the most complex supply chains of any materials that are purchased now in the world.
And so that begs the question about who takes responsibility for each link of that chain.
Yeah, and as you can imagine, there is now a great debate about responsibility. Who carries the liability for ultimately consumers eating materials that they don't wish to eat, they don't know that they're eating? Is it the retailers or is it the supplier to the retailers? And as your report said, you can track the meat back through 7 or 8 countries, and I would assume by the end of this particular crisis we'll see that there could be between 10 and 20 countries implicated in the legal events that are going to ensue because of this particular situation.
Well, the FSA, Food Safety Agency, say retailers have just, a week to check on all their beef products. That's not long enough, is it?
No, I mean, it's typical in a crisis that the reaction is a bit of a knee-jerk, where basically every meat product now in the UK and further afield has to be tested to find out what species of meat it is. It's going to take an awful lot longer than that to find out where this problem arose from, and an awful lot longer to actually get measures in place that will stop it happening again in the future.
Is it the fault of the public then, or politicians? Because we seem to take for granted we believe what's on the tin.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of finger pointing going on at the minute about who is culpable, who is responsible for this. And you could blame all of us, the consumers. What we want to do is to buy low price foods, and one of the costs for low price foods is the fact that the retailers, the producers, are sourcing materials from all over the world to keep the costs down.
Chris Elliott at Queen's University in Belfast. Thanks, Chris.